Welcome to the channel, and today we'll be breaking down Eminem's verse on Forgot About Dre. Forgot About Dre released in 1999 and was part of Dr Dre's 2001 album, and when you think of it, Fall from Eminem's Kamikaze album shares a similar topic with Forgot About Dre. In Forgot About Dre, Dre wanted his critics to think twice before they make the claim that it fell off, and Dre even name drops Eazy-E, Ice Cube, DOC and Snoop. And Eminem also does something similar in Fall that released in 2018. Eminem wrote the majority of Forgot About Dre, including a majority of Dre's verses, and the track won a Grammy for Best Rap Performance by a duo or group in 2000. Today we'll be breaking down Eminem's guest verse on the final day of 2018, and if you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for many more Eminem and hip-hop content coming your way in 2019. And be sure to stay till the end of this video to find out an interesting fact about this song. Eminem starts off his verse with a line that's probably controversial enough for politicians to consider banning an artist from their country for advocating violence, and this has even happened to Eminem a couple of times already, when politicians take his lyrics literally and ban him from performing in their country.
So what do you say to somebody you hate? What? Or anyone trying to bring trouble your way? One of his off things in the blood of your way? Just study your tape of NWA.
NWA came out with music that was considered violent, and efforts were made to ban their music. In fact, most radio stations did not play their music because it was considered violent, and Eminem plays on this by implying that if you want to get inspired to take a violent revenge on someone bringing trouble your way, listening to an NWA song is a good way to start and get in the mood. I'd imagine that these were the kind of songs Eminem listened to that he spoke about in Legacy from the MMLP2 album that put him in the mood to want to fight and write songs to step up to bullies. In the next bars, Eminem makes a reference to a woke man, and if you've seen our previous video about the breakdown of Legacy, you'd know that this was Eminem's way of escaping all the troubles of reality in his life when he was growing up.
One day I was walking by with a Walkman on when I caught a guy, give me an awkward eye. You look and strangled him off in the parking lot with his darkened eye.
Of course, by 1999, the world had already moved on from the Walkman, although it was still a big deal in many developing countries, and the Discman was the new hot product from Sony. So Eminem in this bar is probably talking about a fictitious past event years before 1999. You might be wondering why I have to say fictitious. Of course, this didn't actually happen. But you need to see when politicians quote his lyrics literally to cook up some reason why Eminem is a bad influence on youth. In addition, this is probably Eminem referring to the push to ban NWA initially. So the guy that gave him the awkward eye probably did because he was a supporter, an avid listener of NWA at that time back in the day. Of course, Slim Shady is no stranger to violence, and at the end of the bar, he strangles this stranger that gave him an awkward look when he was probably blasting off NWA in his headphones with the stranger's Carcanai. Carcanai is a clothing brand, and in this bar, Eminem is probably referring to a Carcanai hoodie with the laces, and used the laces of the hoodie to strangle the stranger. Like with many bars from Eminem, the next bars could also be interpreted in several ways.
I don't give a fuck if it's dark or not.
For one, this could be Eminem talking about the lyrics just before this bar, and is implying that he doesn't care if you find his lyrics to be gruesome and dark, he's saying it anyway. It could also imply that Slim Shady is ready to violently attack as soon as you give a reason, regardless of the time of day. Or just simply a metaphor to imply that he's always ready to attack even in situations that no one expects. This is something we've seen in Eminem's career, and even when you want to compliment Eminem, you need to choose your words carefully. Asher Roth was Eminem's latest victim of this. He probably meant well when complimenting Eminem, but Eminem took it as a roundabout diss from Roth, and Eminem spoke about this on Asshole from MMLP2. We did a breakdown on that song, and you can find it at the link that pops up now. I'm not done with that bar, and I believe this is worth mentioning. Some believe that there was a beef between Eminem and DMX at that time, and this bar was believed by some to be a shot at DMX's album Is Dark and Hell Is Hot. And in the next few bars, Eminem even talks about killing barking dogs. Expecting barking dogs on a DMX song is like expecting water to be wet. You know it's present, but this beef was all speculation and was never confirmed by both artists. Eminem then drops one of the greatest extended metaphors in rap music.
I'm harder than me trying to park a Dodge when I'm drunk as fuck, right next to a humongous truck in a 2-car garage.
Imagine drinking an entire bottle of hard liquor and then trying to park next to a huge truck in a 2-car garage. Of course, it's going to be extremely hard and tough, and Eminem is suggesting that he's tougher/harder than the process of doing this while under the influence. The next bar is something that's impossible in real life, but Shady is so extreme in many cases. Previously, he strangled a guy with his Carcanite clothing just for giving him what could be described as a stink eye when he was probably blasting NWA on his Walkman, and now he's doing something that's physically impossible.
Hopping out with 2 broken legs, trying to walk it off.
First of all, he hops out with 2 broken legs, but I can assure you, hopping out is not something you do with 2 broken legs. But then he hops out and even tries to walk it off. At this point, he's so intoxicated and is unable to feel the pain and tries to do something that's physically impossible. The bit about barking dogs we discussed earlier comes right at this point in Eminem's verse. And Eminem continues by stating that when the cops came through, they were right there with all the evidence pointing towards them, but they still weren't found out.
And when the cops came through, me and Dre stood next to a burnt down house with a can full of gas and a handful of matches, and still weren't found out. Right here.
The bar even ends with "right here," suggesting that they even tried to draw the attention of the cops towards them, but still, the cops didn't find out that they were guilty. In the music video, this was the point when Eminem is being interviewed by the news reporter about the fire, but there's more to this. This bar could also be Eminem implying how him and Dr. Dre revolutionized hip-hop, and despite all the signs pointing towards him and Dre as the duo responsible for changing hip-hop forever, they still weren't given enough credit for their efforts despite it being so obvious. Looking down the years, this makes a lot of sense, and we've seen how the combination of Eminem and Dre pretty much flattened the hip-hop genre and rebuilt it in their own image. And this song came out even before Eminem had multiple diamond certifications and released albums that sold over 30 million copies worldwide. Talk about having confidence in your craft. Eminem was pretty much prophesying on this verse. Eminem then states how things are going to be from now in hip-hop.
So from here on out, it's the chronic 2, starting the day and tomorrow's a new.
This bar implies that from now, those in the rap game that think Dre fell off will now be influenced by the sound of the Chronic 2, and Dre's 2001 album was often referred to as the Chronic 2, and there's a reason for this. Before Dre left Death Row Records, his next album was supposed to be titled Chronic 2000, but when he left, Suge Knight released an album by various artists under Death Row with the title Chronic 2000. As a way to take a dump on Dre, which forced Dre to rename his album 2001, the one representing a one-up on Suge's Chronic 2000 album that was panned critically upon release. So of course, Dre's 2001 was the real Chronic sequel. The bar ends with starting today and tomorrow's a new, but it's quite ironic because Dre didn't release another album from then until his 2015 Compton album, but his work on albums from artists like Eminem and 50 Cent dominated hip-hop from there. Shady never misses an opportunity and states how crazy he is once again.
And I'm still local enough to choke you to death with a Charleston Chew.
Charleston Chew at the end of that bar is an extremely chewy candy bar consisting of flavored nougat covered in chocolate flavor coating that was created in 1925, making them Shady's choice to describe how local he is. Sweet but crazy enough to choke you. Eminem then proceeds to describe how hot he is and says this in a way that makes listeners believe he's speaking metaphorically at first, but then proceeds to describe it in a dark manner. But remember, he already stated earlier that he doesn't care if it's dark or not.
Damn Shady, hotter than a set of twin babies, and a Mercedes Benz with the windows up when the temp goes up to the mid-80s.
On its own, hotter than a set of twin babies is simply a metaphor suggesting that he gets attention, similar to how a set of twin babies are bound to attract attention when they are born. Eminem, after a small pause, then continues to elaborate, which then makes this even more literal, intense, and dark. It's not just hotter than twin babies, but twin babies in a hot car literally, in a brand that is also considered to be hot figuratively, a Mercedes. Eminem in the final bars then suggests that he's already too far gone for him to be saved by Dre.
Sorry doc, but I've been crazy. There's no way that you can save me. It's okay, go with him, Haley.
This suggests that it's too late for him since the damage has already been done, and going by the music video, Go With Him Haley is Eminem telling Haley to go with the cop. Of course, on the chorus of this song where Eminem states that they moved their lips, just a bunch of gibberish, could be directed at Suge and his artists trying to diss Dre for leaving Death Row. But one could argue that this line is even more relevant in hip-hop today with the new rise of mumble rap, so you could say Eminem even dissed mumble rap before it became a thing. And another fact about Forgot About Dre is that Eminem wrote the lyrics of the song with Jay-Z's Nigga What beat. If you'd like to support the channel, consider donating to our PayPal, and special thanks to Troy Pierce. Thanks for watching, remember to subscribe if you haven't, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and see you all in 2019.